Hello and welcome to class number 14 of this quick revision series of Prelims 2024. I hope all of you have seen all the earlier classes and also downloaded the PDF for your revision sake from the Telegram channel. If you have still not joined the Telegram channel, please see the description of the video. You will find there the link to join the Telegram channel and also the link of this playlist. So in case you have missed out on any of the earlier classes, you can watch that very quickly. We are again today continuing with the news stories from environment that were in the news in the last 1 year or so. First, Operation Kacha. What exactly is this? This is an operation mainly being run to rescue turtles. Under this operation, a lot of turtles have been rescued from illegal wildlife trade. Now, something very interesting that you see here is, which is the agency that has raided these traders and they have tried to rescue these turtles? That agency is DRI. DRI is Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. Now, if you look at the name Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, you might think that it's an agency related to money laundering, etc. But no. Revenue Intelligence Agency or Directorate of Revenue Intelligence just looks into any smuggling cases. So even if there's smuggling cases involved of these kind of species, even that will be looked into by the DRI. This particular operation is being held in India or is being done in India to ensure that the indigenous species of turtles, they are not overexploited. A lot of them are illegally traded to the other parts of the country. So the government of India is trying to protect the 13 species of turtles that are in India from habitat loss or overexploitation. This operation would result in live turtles being protected. Now, as per the IUCN, these turtles that are found in India, most of them are either vulnerable or are near threatened species. This DRI agency, that is Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, is India's premier anti-smuggling agency. So as I said, don't think anti-smuggling agency would not really go into these kind of activities, because at the end of the day, money is involved. Money will be exchanged. This agency works under Ministry of Finance, and remember, it's responsible for detecting and preventing various forms of smuggling, including illicit wildlife trade. So this fact is important. Even for illegal wildlife trade, this same agency working under Ministry of Finance will look into ensuring that these kind of cases do not happen again. Next, another important species that was in the news, this time a bird. Gujarat announced a state bird, an official state bird, that is called the goldfish. Now, this is important because goldfish is considered to be one of the most expensive fish in the entire world. It is in demand in many parts of the world, especially in China. It is said that if the fishermen catch it, it leads to a big amount that they can earn, and that is why the fishermen are after this fish as much as possible. This is primarily found in the Indo-Pacific region, and it can also be found in Persian Gulf and in the Pacific Ocean as well. As I said, it is in high demand in multiple countries, specifically in China. It is thus known as the sea gold. Do remember this? A kilogram of this fish can cost anywhere from 5,000 to 15,000 rupees in Gujarat. In the international market, it can be even higher. The meat of this fish is exported to European and Middle Eastern countries as well. The dried air bladder is also in high demand in China. The dried air bladder, specifically inside the fish, is the costliest part, that can reach up to 25,000 rupees per kg in the export market. There are a lot of benefits attached to this fish. Most of the fish are anyways rich in omega-3. That is an important source of nutrition. But apart from that also, this fish is good for eye health, maintains good eyesight, prevents aging, wrinkles. It also ensures that there is elasticity in the skin that is intact, which will not cause wrinkles for you. It has omega-3 content, which improves the intelligent quotient IQ of the infants as well. As per the IUCN, this fish is near threatened. So it is in the near threatened category. Next important news, 2023 marked 1 year completion of Project Cheetah, under which, as you know, India imported multiple cheetahs from African countries. Many of them unfortunately died. Many of them reproduced. Even after reproducing, some babies also died. Now, if you ask the government, they will maintain that this has been a success. There was always a chance of some cheetahs losing their life, and that has happened. So, what has happened and what is the situation after 1 year completion of Project Cheetah? Let's look at that. It started in September 2022. Now, the project claims that we have achieved success. How? There is 50% survival of the cheetahs that were introduced from South Africa and Namibia, so at least half of them have survived. And we have established home ranges as well, and there has also been birth of these cheetah cubs, that is, new cheetahs have also been born. Due to tourism activity in the nearby areas, the local community has also earned money. Now, let's look at some numbers. In total, if you look at all the cheetahs and add up their time in India, it makes about 142 months that they have spent in the wild. There is about 40% loss in adult population, so about 40% of the cheetahs have lost their lives. About 6 out of 20 have lost their lives specifically. There were 4 cubs that were born, out of them 3 have died, and 4th one is being kept in captivity. The goal was to establish a home range in the Kuno National Park, but only for 3 of the cheetahs have they spent most time in wild. Most of the others have been confined to captivity. Apart from this cheetah reintroduction project, which is important for you to remember, this was mainly done to reintroduce cheetahs in India. In India, it is believed that the cheetah population became zero or extinct in 1952. This was the era when the rulers of the princely states were very fond of hunting. So before India became independent, the princely states, the rulers, they undertook these hunting activities, and cheetah or these kind of animals was a very prized catch. That is why their population started to dwindle. It is only after India's independence that there were strict laws introduced for our preservation of wildlife, but by then it was too late for the cheetahs, and by 1952 they had become extinct. The translocation of cheetahs in the Kuno National Park took place from Namibia and South Africa. Remember, this project is implemented by the National Tiger Conservation Authority along with Madhya Pradesh Forest Department, Wildlife Institute of India, and the cheetah experts from Namibia and South Africa. Despite the mixed results, the government of India, as you know, has gone ahead and also set up the International Big Cat Alliance. So we do think that this is a good idea and we will be able to manage them in the long run. Next important news is the ban on harmful drugs for the sake of vultures. What exactly is the connection? So vultures are those birds that feed on dead animals. So animals who die, their bodies when they're lying on the ground, vultures come and feed from them. Now what happens is, these dead animals, when they are basically dead in their dead bodies, these animals may have been given some medicines so that they could be treated, or they would have been given some medicine for some condition. Now these medicines remain in their body. When vultures come and eat those animals, they consume those animals, these medicines go into the body of the vultures and it leads to kidney failure of the vultures. It has been proven beyond doubt that there are certain medicines, when they are used in livestock, when they are used to treat some animals, it can lead to very, very bad diseases in vultures who might consume them later. So what has happened is, in the past also, there have been some medicines such as diclofenac that have been banned from being used on livestock. So diclofenac is a very common drug that you use as a painkiller. So diclofenac was banned. You can't use it in the livestock because it will harm vultures. Now, other drugs or other medicines have also been added to this list that cannot be used on livestock, so that it can safeguard vultures. Now, what exactly are these? Which are these medicines that you have to remember? This decision has been taken by Drugs Technical Advisory Board. They have said ketoprofen and aceclofenac. Both of these again are painkillers. Both of these are considered to be harmful for the vultures. They will not be allowed to be used in treating of the livestock. Apart from that, diclofenac, as I said, already been banned. Nimesulide also been banned. Nimesulide also, it's a drug that is used for painkillers. Nimesulide, in fact, in many countries it's banned on humans as well. You don't really consume it. It's considered to have certain side effects. So these are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs that are mainly used in veterinary practices. So to treat certain animals, these drugs are given. These four have now been banned in India. Again, banned for livestock, not for humans. These drugs have been banned to be given to animals so that we can preserve and safeguard the vulture population. Do remember the names of these. Now, these medicines have a major impact on vultures. For example, they are not fully metabolized by vultures and thus they can cause kidney damage. Because the vultures feed on the carcass of the animals, they also face severe health risk, and the ban basically wants to ensure that the vulture population does not dwindle in India. Next, we have an important report called Inclusive Conservation Initiative. Now, what exactly is this? The Global Environment Facility, that is the GEF, we discussed about it in the last session also. The GEF in the recent meeting made attention to a report called Inclusive Conservation Initiative. So what exactly is the idea? The idea is that indigenous people, now who are indigenous people? Indigenous people basically means those who have been living in a certain area for many centuries. In India, you can call them tribals. People who have been living in same place for many centuries, for many generations. They know this area inside out. They're mainly tribal communities, backward people who have not really accepted new technology, who have not migrated just for jobs, etc. They are called indigenous people. Now, across the entire world, indigenous people are given a lot of importance. For example, take an example of New Zealand, Australia. In New Zealand, Australia, before the white population came in, it was the land of the indigenous people. So they are still given a lot of importance, a lot of significance. Now, the Global Environment Facility has found out that most of the money, the funds that go into preservation of biodiversity, a very small, rather negligible part of it is spent on the conservation of the indigenous people. So the idea of the report is that we should spend more money on preservation of indigenous people. Do remember the name of this report, Inclusive Conservation Initiative. It is related to working with indigenous people and local community, conserve their nature and address their own challenges. The idea is, Global Environment Facility says that we should try and ensure that more money is given to secure their landscape, their territory, to make sure that their biodiversity is not harmed and it is not really compromised in the long run. This particular report says that there are 4 components that will be a part of the action that will be taken by the Global Environment Facility. We should ensure local action to deliver global environment benefits. We should ensure capacity building of the local population. Capacity building means giving them new skills, training so that they are eligible for other jobs, other employment opportunities. Ensure that they have a leadership role in international environmental policy making, and also ensure that there is knowledge that is used to put things into action. All these are suggestions that have been given in this report to engage the indigenous, the local community also in this entire process of conservation of biodiversity. The highlights of the report are: number 1, indigenous people own 40% of the protected areas and 37% of ecologically intact landscape. They have an equal or greater impact, or these land rather, have an equal or greater impact in reducing deforestation. Less than 1% money of climate change funding actually goes into preservation of these communities. That is an important factor. Only 7% of the funding that has been pledged for this purpose has directly reached them since 2021. So even if there is a talk about them getting more money, even if there are resolutions that are passed, not a lot of money comes into the hands of these communities eventually. Next, another important concept that was in the news, that is hollow bions. Now, what is hollow bions? These are organisms that are made up of animal, plants, microbiota, all of them living inside of each other together. So these are complex organisms that mainly comprise of more than one organism. These are called hollow bions. Now, let me give some examples so that you can actually understand. So, these are species that are mainly dependent on each other. For example, they have a host which is a multicellular organism, which can be a plant or an animal, and they have a microbiota, which are microorganisms that are associated with the host like a bacteria. Animals and plants, they cannot survive standalone now. They're dependent on each other, maybe for food, maybe for nutrition, maybe for protection. These combined complex organisms are called holobionts. Do remember this. This is again a collection of species that are closely associated with each other. They live together and they have complex interactions with each other. For example, coral heads, why? Because it is a combination of plants and animal species. So they get their color from photosynthesis called zooxanthal, and they also, again, apart from that, display some features that are not really seen in plants. Kombucha, which is a fermented form of bacteria and yeast together. So when this basically is considered as a single entity, it becomes holobionts. Plant along with its microbiome, all of these are called as holobionts. So holobionts again are combined genome which are in a very complex relationship with each other. They may provide nutrition to each other, they may provide protection to each other. These are called holobionts. Do remember that. Next news, there was the India's Bird 2023 report, or rather State of India's Bird 2023 report that was released. These kind of reports come in to tell us about the population of the birds in India, whether is it increasing or decreasing, whether there are certain concerns that we should look into. Now, about these reports, and I've told this earlier, for the prelims examination, you don't have to remember each and every data or fact. That will be too much, you won't be able to register that. So rather than remembering every fact, rather than remembering every number, it is more, or it is rather preferable to focus on trends. Trends such as increasing, decreasing, so on and so forth. So, what does this report say? This report was released and it has these kind of bodies that are behind this. This report is a joint collaboration of 13 government bodies and NGOs, including the Bombay Natural History Society, Wildlife Institute of India, Zoological Survey of India, Wildlife Trust of India, WWF, etc. All of these came together to have this report, to get this data ready and be a part of this report. It has collection of data from about 30,000 bird watchers. There are long-term trends that change over 30 years. There are current annual trends, and there are specific numbers with respect to India. Let's see some of the findings of the report. First, it says that there are 338 species that have a long-term presence in India. 60% of them have shown certain decline. There is increasing number of bird species in India. For example, Indian peafowl, it's a national bird of India and it is showing remarkable increase in its abundance and its distribution as well. So there are certain species of birds that are increasing in number, and the good part is our national bird specifically is increasing in number and in reach as well. Then it categorizes birds into two categories: specialists. Specialist birds are the ones that are specific to one particular habitation. They are not found in many parts of the country. They are found specifically, let's say, nearby water bodies, nearby forests, nearby certain other unique landscape. Those are called specialist birds. Specialist birds are more threatened than journalist birds. Journalist birds are the ones that are mainly found across the entire country, sparrow, etc. So the journalist birds are still more in population. Their population not declining as much. Journalist birds can live in multiple habitats and they are doing well as a group, while the specialist birds are the ones that are facing a lot of pressure of dwindling population. What about migratory birds? Long distance birds coming in from Eurasia, Arctic have experienced a significant decline of over 50%. That is also a major concern. As you know, a lot of birds travel to India from thousands of kilometers away. When their original habitat has a very, very harsh temperature, very, very cold temperature, these birds usually travel to warmer places. They then spend some months there and then they go back. So India is a major recipient of these migrant birds. However, these have also been reducing over the years. Another interesting news in the last 1 year was about press mud. What is press mud exactly? So in the sugar factory, in the sugar mills, when you are processing sugarcane into sugar, the remaining waste product is called as press mud. Again, press mud is the remaining waste product in the sugar factory, in the sugar industry. Now, it has been found out that this press mud has a significant potential to be used and converted into compressed biogas. The government of India, as you know, has been putting a lot of attention towards increasing our renewable energy manufacturing, renewable energy development, and for that press mud can be a good initiative because it can be converted into compressed biogas. Now, what exactly is the science behind it and how does it work? So basically, this particular press mud, as I said, is an important factor considering that India is one of the largest producers of sugar in the entire world. In fact, since 21-22, India has even overtaken Brazil as the largest producer. We are the second largest exporter of sugar globally as well. Means the more sugar that we produce, the more quantity of press mud do we have at our disposal. This press mud is also called as press cake or filter cake. It's a byproduct of the sugar industry. It can generate additional revenue now. And also through anaerobic digestion, they can also be converted into compressed biogas as well. Whenever you read the word anaerobic, please understand anaerobic means absence of oxygen. So anaerobic digestion means a process where bacteria breaks down the organic matter in the absence of oxygen. That is the important part. It is considered that if you have, let's say, 100 kg of sugar cane, it will lead in the end to 3 to 4 kg of press mud because it's a byproduct in the end. Other parts of sugar cane are utilized in making of the sugar. The remaining 3 to 4% part, so out of every 100 kg, 3 to 4 kg will be the waste product, that is the press mud. What is the end product that we are talking about in this case? Compressed biogas. It's environmentally friendly. It is manufactured by anaerobic decomposition of organic materials. Now, it is also the same process that is used for making of other important components that are used in agriculture as well. The important part is breakdown in the absence of oxygen. The biogas that is created, mostly it is methane only, about 90% of it is methane. Then there is CO2, some hydrogen sulfide, some moisture, etc. This biogas has to be converted into compressed biogas. So again, you have to compress it. How do you do that? You basically compress it to a high pressure, about 250 bar or higher, and that is how biogas that is produced by press mud gets converted to compressed biogas. So again, there is a difference between biogas and compressed. In compressed form, you have to put extremely high pressure over it. Now, there were a couple of tiger reserves that were in the news, so I thought of revising about those tiger reserves. First, the Satpura Tiger Reserve was in the news because a 10,000-year-old rock painting was found in the Satpura Tiger Reserve. So a bit of detail about Satpura Tiger Reserve. Do remember, it is surrounded by the Panchmari Hill Station, the very, very famous hill station in Madhya Pradesh, and the Bori Wildlife Sanctuary. Also, it has very unique sandstone cliffs and gorges. It is extremely old. It is said to have dinosaur fossils and ancient rock formations as well. There are certain rivers nearby. Tava River forms a western boundary, while Denva and Machak River carve the way through the reserve entirely. So, in between the reserve, these rivers actually go. There are deciduous forests that are mainly found in this particular tiger reserve, while tiger, leopard, spotted deers, sloth bears, etc. are found amongst the animals in this tiger reserve. Another tiger reserve that was in the news was the Kaval Tiger Reserve. Why? Because Kaval Tiger Reserve was seen to have a significant increase in the population of smooth-coated otters. Smooth-coated otters were facing the threat of habitat loss, but now their population seems to be increasing. So a bit of this Kaval Tiger Reserve that we are talking about is in the northeastern part of Telangana. There is Godavari River on one side and Maharashtra border on the other side. Also, it has connectivity to the Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve in Maharashtra towards the north, while Indravati Tiger Reserve of Chhattisgarh is towards the northeastern side of the state. This again has a lot of deciduous forest, and teak is also found along with bamboo. Amongst the animals found here include chinkara, nilgai, spotted deer, leopard, tiger, and even the jungle cat. This brings to the end of this session. We still have some more environment related news. Do join me for the next one tomorrow at 6 p.m. Become a part of Telegram channel to download all these PDFs, and do hit the subscribe button if you have not done so far.